Well, there it is, Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. And this is the Real Estate Note Investing Be the Bank broadcast. I'm Justin Bogard, and this is brought to you by Bright Path Notes, your sponsor. And today we're going to be discussing kind of what's going on with the Mortgage Monitor update. We have some information from the report that just came out that we'll discuss. I got a deal that I was working on for seller financing that I kind of want to explain and talk through. And then Richard and I got some exciting news to announce to you guys. So just stay tuned. Mr. Thornton, what is up, dude?
Mr. Bogard. Well, we are living proof that we can do this show from any place today.
We can.
As you can see, I've got a mountain picture in the back. We are in our mountain cabin in the Sierras. We just got here a little bit while ago. There's only fireplace heating in it, and the building's warmed up from 34 to 38 degrees. So that's why I have my jacket on.
I was just getting ready to make a comment about that.
And so hopefully it'll warm up. Hopefully we're going to have a really hot show, so things will warm up.
What a great job to my co-host here. It's really that cold in there? So you're going to sleep in like thermal sleeping bags or what?
No, there's two stoves, two great big stoves, and they're downstairs. Unfortunately, that's all we have to heat the entire building. So it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to heat up once we get up here. There's about 6 feet of snow on the ground right now.
Nice.
And I won't be, but other parties, members of my party will be skiing all weekend and the week. And
so that means you're going to get stuck cooking, huh? So everyone else is out playing and you'll get stuck cooking.
That's true. I mean, I actually enjoy cooking, and especially we have a commercial kitchen here, so that's kind of fun also. But
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be basically sitting on my computer looking at a nice view of Lake Tahoe, doing work for the most part, but that's okay.
Awesome.
I get to be up here and have evenings that are fun with people, and so that's good.
Well, that's cool. I'm in a different location today, and I'm trying to figure out why my camera is not showing colors very well right now. So I look kind of silverish today, so I don't know what's going on with that. I'm kind of like a barracuda, I guess. I got this shimmer to it.
It's all that zinc oxide you've been drinking.
Yes, I promise I am normal. I feel fine. I feel well. It's just I have a different camera color today. I'm not sure why. So, all right, Richard. So let's get into today's presentation. Let me pull up that PowerPoint. Give me just 1 second here.
Okay.
I was going to queue it up and then it froze on me. Okay. Man, I've been having some technical difficulties lately. All right. All right. So as you guys know, this is the Real Estate Note Investing Be the Bank meetup. It wouldn't be possible without some sponsorships. Let's talk about them real quick. Bright Path Notes is one of the sponsors here. We got the note deals. You can reach me at justin@brightpathnotes.com. And CIREA is our local real estate club. They stand for Central Indiana Real Estate Investor Association. And you can reach out to the phone number there on your screen and our executive director at CIREA.club to reach out to them. The reason why you would want to be a part of our group, well, it's an Indianapolis-based group, and there are a lot of wholesalers, a lot of fix and flippers, a lot of landlords. There's no people like myself that are a part of this group, and it's great to connect with people and have boots on the ground as well. We got a ton of vendors within our organization that can help you with projects. If you have to take back a property and rehab it, it's nice to have boots on the ground and people that you know. I lost my mouse here. There we go. The note investing training software, Richard, myself, Larry, and Mariska, who have been on several times, came up with a course called Constant Cash Flow. It's a down grassroots kind of fundamental training on note investing, kind of how to get into it, what you can do with it, where you can go with it, and give you a couple of case studies about it and kind of show you where you want to go. So if you if you email info@brightpathnotes.com, we can give you more information and give you a link to go sign up for the training if you like. And that little URL is scrolling across the bottom. Thank you to my co-host Richard for doing that. The last sponsor on our list here is a self-directed IRA company called NewView IRA, NewView Trust. I'm sorry, NewView IRA, NewView Trust, kind of the same thing. New accounts at newviewira.com is who you'd want to email to set up your self-directed retirement account with them, so you can invest in notes, or you can buy rental properties, or you can buy properties to fix and flip them. You can lend money to people for it. You can do lots of cool stuff with it. You can even use your health savings account as a retirement option in the self-directed game as well. It's pretty cool. No, I don't want to end show. What's going on with my mouse today? Here we go. So this is for the Cyrea folks here. Go ahead and pay attention to this. Don't forget, they got a Facebook, they got an Instagram account, and they also have a LinkedIn account and a big YouTube channel with a ton of free videos. So don't forget to take your little smartphone. Where's my phone at right here? Take your little phone here, put your camera over that little QR code, and all of a sudden a little URL will pop up. Tap that on your phone. You go to a web page and you can sign in with your first name, last name, and email address, and it'll give you your PHP credits. Anyone else that's not a part of Cyrea, just disregard that. It's not for you. It's not for you. We love you, but it's not for you. All right, Richard, we've been cruising along in season number 4 of Be the Bank podcast, our final iteration of that podcast. We're still going forward. We released our 25th episode today for the season 4, and 26th episode will be released right before New Year's. So you'll be able to catch that all of season 4. Go to any podcast directory and you can download or subscribe to Be the Bank. And it's Richard and myself typically most of the time. Sometimes I'll have guests on there and interview them as well. I have a couple interviews planned for the beginning of season 5 here coming up for Be the Bank. Richard, so as you know, in our audience, we typically talk about the Mortgage Monitor Update. This is information or about a 30-page report that comes from Black Knight Financial Data.
Right.
And so what happens is they illustrate a lot of graphics for us and give us a lot of data points to talk about. And so sometimes when things are going smooth and they really haven't changed, we don't really talk about it too much because, the status quo is the same as the last month. But we had a little bit of a change in what's going on. We hadn't talked about a couple of things. So I wanted to bring up a couple slides, Richard, to talk about. I know Richard hasn't seen these yet because he was traveling all day today. So he didn't get a chance to discuss this stuff with me. So he's seen it for the first time as well. And by the way, if you got any comments or anything you want to shout out, please feel free to do that on whatever you're watching, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. What else am I streaming to, Richard? Facebook. And I don't know where else we're streaming to. That's about it, I think. Anyways, shout out your comments. Richard's going to field some of those here, maybe bring them up during the call, or we'll wait till the end. We'll have more of a Q&A or a fireside talk at the end, and we can discuss really anything as it relates to notes or real estate.
We'll just say Sunny Sarah is saying hi, so this is the appropriate place to say hi.
Hi. Well, hi, Sunny Sarah, a.k.a. Sarah Sunshine from Illinois or Illinois. I don't know. It depends on where you're from. Illinois.
Yeah. What's the right one? Yeah.
Illinois.
Illinois. So
the S is silent. Illinois.
Okay, great.
Let's talk about this slide. What am I looking at here, Richard? Let's see. We've got a blue line and a green line. The blue line is the payment to income ratio. It's the left axis there that goes from 0 to 60%. And the Freddie 30-year fixed mortgage rate is the right axis going from 0 to 20% on that side. That's interest rates. And the bottom line, the little timeline there, we go 1976. I didn't see that before, all the way to 2022. And it's taken the November year of each of those. Looks like they're jumping every 2, 3, 4 years of sequence. So you can see what the history has been for the past, what's that, Richard? 30, 40 some years. I'm 44, so I should know this. About 45 years, right?
I was gonna say you were a baby. You're just a baby when this started.
I was just born on 1978. That's right. On April 26th, those of you that want to know, and you can send me a birthday card, I would truly appreciate that. Let's see here. All right, so the payment to income ratio. Go ahead and explain that to our audience for me, Richard, so I can take a drink here.
Okay, well, no surprise, but gosh, folks, payment to income is going up, meaning that interest rates are going up. So, especially if you've got a floating rate loan, but even if you're just trying to get a new loan now, your mortgage payments will be going up for
Still
generally
got you,
not a
Richard?
good thing because it makes it, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think you broke up for a quick minute there. I didn't mean to interject,
Oh,
but go ahead,
that's
continue.
all right. So that what that means is that it's more difficult for people to make mortgage payments. So they're going to have a qualifying for loans.
Right. So the current rate is hovering close to 6.6. Now, remember the data that comes out for this report, it goes through October and it stops in November because they haven't finished the entire month of November when they generate this report. So it always seems like it's about 40 days behind. It's actually it's just because it takes them that long, the whole month of November to create the document. So we're always looking at October and beyond
Right.
data. So that's why we're seeing the beginning of November. That's why these dates are hitting that. So at the time they did this report, we're saying it was around 6.6%. I don't really know what the mortgage rate is today as we're recording this right now and doing this live, but
So I was
that's
I was
what it is.
I was quoted 7 today. So that's it's been steadily going down for the last 2 weeks. I've got a mortgage monitor report that I get every week, and they're saying 30-year fixed 5.7. So that's pretty good.
You broke up at the beginning. Did you say 7% when you first started
Five
saying
point.
that?
I'm sorry, 5.7.
Okay, 5.7. Okay, so it has moved down quite a bit. Okay,
Mhm.
good relative to where it was. But you can see the big disparity between the 37.4% of payment to income ratio for a median household income for a median house price. That's what it takes to make the payment right now. Doesn't mean that's your payment. It means that's what it takes for the median household income. So the disparity, the delta between the two lines is pretty severe right now, which tells you, like Richard was saying, there's an affordability problem out there.
Right.
All right, most affordable markets. Are you surprised? Let's look at the most affordable ones. St. Louis, Missouri is top of our list here. 24.5% of payment to income ratio is what it takes to make the mortgage payment on a median price house in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah. That does not surprise me. I've got 4 notes in St. Louis, and they're nice little houses for inexpensive prices.
All right, we can see some of your area out there is in the least affordable markets,
Mm,
rounding off the ranking of 50 and to 40 to 40 41. There, you got several
mhm.
California places in there. Los Angeles just is astounding, like 73.6% payment to income ratios.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that's higher than San Francisco because what I've been reading is San Francisco is actually higher, but, you know, Black Knight is good at collecting their data, so I'm sure
Yeah,
they're correct.
my assumption is that the housing prices in Los Angeles are probably stronger than San Francisco right now. San Francisco's probably backed off quite a bit, so that made the payment ratio squeeze a lot better for the consumer in San
Mm,
Francisco than it would be in Los Angeles. That's just what I'm guessing, because there
could
is a
be.
big disparity: 73% versus 57%.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. This graph, it caught my attention. I didn't dive into it too much when I was doing my research on it, but I wanted to talk to you about it, Richard. So it's kind of interesting. It's something that we haven't seen before on I haven't shown on Black Knight Financial on our broadcast here. I've been doing this is months of inventory remaining versus inventory change. So this is collateral analytics and seasonally adjusted. So the MOM change in inventory is the blue stuff, and the months of inventory is the green stuff there. So I believe, Richard, what this is saying is that the month over month change, as you can see from the timeline at the bottom, it jumps either well above the line or well below the zero line. If you look to
Mhm.
the right, you'll see that the right axis is showing the line for the blue, and the left axis is showing the line for the green there.
Mhm.
So it looks like as of every time the blue makes a movement going up, the green should be kind of following it as well to jump it a little bit. So right now
Mhm.
it's showing that about when they did ended this report, a 3.1 months of inventory remaining is what the kind of the realtor standard is to say this is our consumer inventory for residential product. That
Right.
we, if we on a normal market, we have enough supply to last 3.1 months.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what it's saying. So it's has been getting lower and lower and lower ever since 2012. The inventory supply, as you can see, and then it's kind of trended back upward now, which is interesting as well. But we expect that since the rates kind of dipped down really low and the housing prices have kind of come down a little bit, it's kind of controlling that. Even though the interest rates went up for a tick, and then now they're coming back down.
Right. And I think they're still having some supply chain problems.
Yeah, I would say that. I don't know if your mic might cut out on you.
Mm.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, but
Okay.
yours sounds like you're having a hard time.
Well, I caught the first part of what you said, then it kind of went dark for a little bit, so I just jumped in with the assumption that maybe your internet connection cut out. Richard's in more of a remote
Okay.
location than normal, so that's why he's having a little bit of difficulty there.
Right.
Let's talk about highest home price growth rates. I like this. Florida has a lot of growth. Texas has some good growth. In places with not a lot of growth, well, you wouldn't be surprised by seeing San Jose and San Francisco and Sacramento, but Minneapolis, Minnesota,
Hmm.
Phoenix, that's not a surprise because that was an overinflated market, so you wouldn't see much growth there. So I just like to showcase kind of the hot areas right now. Is It's funny that Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, Miami, it's like those are the hot areas in Florida to begin with, right? Bigger
Right.
cities. Okay, this one is something I hadn't seen before in Black Knight Financial Data. It's pretty cool. It says a shared mortgage homes in limited and negative equity positions as of September of 2022. So the origination year we're talking about um, right now in 2022, and they're showing now in this slide every year since 2000 exactly what homes are in limited and or negative equity uh, by their origination. So in the same origination year. So in
Hmm.
2000, you have this, in 2001, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. You see that's just for that year in origination. You see how the equity kind of changed. And this is
Right.
the light bulb kind of went off around 2006, 2007, right? Because that's when the Great Recession started. And then you see things flattening out for a while as we were doing an amazing recovery and the market got hot. And then COVID happened in 2020, and then now you see 2021, 2022, some dramatic changes. So now I'm going to go to the next slide and focus on 2022. So this is every month in 2022. And you can see once the interest rate started to change, you can see there's limited equity now and even negative equities to some borrowers. So this happens because of basically the real estate pricing. So as
Hmm.
houses started to lose their value and interest rates kind of went up at the same time, this put people in negative or limited equity positions very quickly. So you can see the months that it really took off, as far as interest changes were these, what is that? I'm having trouble reading that. So that's March. Yeah, March, April is right when it starts right here, and then May,
Hmm.
June, July, then it comes down in August and September, and you'll probably see in October when they have the report out, it'll probably come back down as well. But that
Right.
was kind of interesting to see that. So it tells me that the position that some of these folks are in when they got their origination is that they got into negative equity kind of quickly. So now, excuse me, I said this was the entire year. This was not the entire. This is like the last 2 years. So I read that chart
Yeah.
wrong. So my bad.
Okay.
No, I just thought it was interesting. I hadn't seen that before. So, do you have any feedback on that?
Mm, only that it's, if I'm reading this correctly, am I reading correct? There's more equity right now than there has been in the past.
So this is just showing the limited equity. So let me talk about a talking point here just a second. So I wrote a note about this, and I'm
Hmm.
glad I stopped you because it caused me to read my notes. So 24% of all mortgages originated in 2022 have
Hmm.
less than 10% equity. Okay, that's 24% of all mortgages originated in 2022 have less than 10% equity. Five 5% of those mortgages that we just talked about actually have negative equity. And
That's amazing.
that's for
If
2022.
you, yeah, that's well. So what that says that there was probably a lot of FHA loans out there where people only had 3% equity to start with.
Yep.
And then housing prices have dropped a little bit. And so now they're negative.
FHA loans are great for first-time borrowers
Hmm.
because it really helps them out to get a home. Unfortunately, the axiom to that would be um, they are the weakest loans out of the whole pool of loans that we have that we originate across the country in different sectors. And this is what happens. So the telltale sign usually is FHA and VA loans because they require very little down payment are usually the ones that default the most. In every graph that you see all the time, they constantly show that. So we
Hmm.
we don't have a chance to invest in the FHA or VA loans to begin with, which is fine because that's probably loans that we wouldn't consider strong unless we had a very long pay history. So we wouldn't invest in them anyway. But we're just trying to show that that's what Fannie and Freddie gobble up, so which is why they have a lot of defaulted loans, and that's why they do big sales very often, very quarterly.
Right.
Um, so, have you ever heard of seller financing?
Hmm. I don't know. Tell me about it.
Seller financing is a hot button this year, and it was a hot button the year before and a couple years before that. And it's just becoming more and more in front of our faces all the time. We're starting to see a lot of people that just basically are not bank financeable because they don't fit the bank buying box. So the seller financing option for someone is like you sell your property on terms, you get a large down payment, you can keep the note that you create, or you can sell it to someone like Richard and I. And then it's all because of many borrowers just outside these bank criteria.
Right.
So this happens all the time. I get a call, I wouldn't say daily, Richard, from somebody, but I get a call a good couple times a week about this, about having an opportunity to set something up on terms. And so I want to show you kind of something that I've worked on recently, the last day.
All right.
Um, I had a land investor reach out to me that I'm good friends with. And by the way, this is not the picture of the land. I just tried to find some vacant land just so it could look cool on the picture there. So this wasn't
This looks
this
really cool. This is
this
cool land, you know.
yeah. Yeah, you see the what is that? A doomsday, uh, preppers,
Yeah,
kind of building back there
those
or
are
something.
really, really
Yeah,
nice weeds. I really
yeah,
like
yeah,
these weeds. So
yeah.
yeah,
Get a bush
yeah.
hog back there and just tear that thing down.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
have I have this land investor. I said, "Hey, Justin, I have this client. They have these 13 vacant lots, and they've been trying to sell it, and I'm trying to sell it and trying to sell it, and they can't find a cash buyer for it. And they're getting motivated. And they're desperately needing to get rid of this. They found somebody to buy it now that has said, "Hey, will you carry back terms for us?" And they're like, "Well." Obviously, they want cash because they need to get out of the situation. But they're like, well, if I don't have anybody to sell it to, I guess this is my only option. So here's where I come in to try to figure out how we can solve their problem. So we do know that the landowner needs about 160K so that they can, either pay off the debt that they have on it, or that's just the number that they need to make this deal work for them. So what I was told was that the things I just said, this is no buyers for a cash deal right now. One buyer asked to do terms, and buyer that wants to do on terms, they actually want to build on the lots too. So they're not going to be able to pay all their cash to the seller because they need their money, their working capital, right, to go out and do what they need to do these lands, these pieces of land, build properties on them or small buildings or what they call them, the container ship houses or something. So they're
Hmm.
going to do something like that. So they said, "Hey, look, I got
Infrastructure.
it. I got it locked in for 200K right now to do on terms." And the person wanting to buy it said, "Hey, look, I'll give you 10% down at 10%, and would you do the terms that way?" So that was the first uh, opportunity that they had to kind of negotiate there. And so then they got me involved after that point, and I looked at it, and I know that they need 160K out of this, and I'm thinking like, I don't think I can buy the loan for 160K if they originate it with this 10% down payment, even though the interest rate is nice. But when we deal with vacant land, and I know Richard knows this, and I'm speaking to the audience here, is there's a lot more risk involved with investing in vacant land as far as creating notes on them. So normally we look to see to have about 70 to 80% kind of LTV with the borrower so that we know they're vested into it with a residential single family property. With land, we really need to see a lot more. We need to be a minimum of 70%, if not 60%, which means they're putting down a
Right.
40% down payment or a 30% down payment. So if the borrower can make this happen, which it sounds like they can, I present to them a different option. And I say, um, 200K is your price. Here's your offer. You said 180K loan amount. I'm going to say, let's make it 140K loan amount. So in the original buyer's offer, they said, hey, look, we're going to do 20 down, 10%. That's a 30-year mortgage, and the payment's going to be 1579. I'm saying do 30%. So that's a 60K down payment. So now the loan is 140. So that's definitely a positive going up here on the chart. Different than across the aisle there. The 10% rate's the same. I said let's do a 15-year term. So I lower the term, and look, the payment's actually going to be lower. But
Mhm.
this is really good because the borrower now is going to have more equity in the deal. They're going to have more skin in the game. So it gives the lender a sense of security if they were to hold on the paper, which I know they're not going to, but if they were to hold the paper, they got a lot more security in this. They got 60K in their hand and they got $1,500 flowing to them for 15 years. That's a nice little cash flow.
So Justin, let's say that the buyer could only put down 20.
Well, then there are a couple of options. The
Okay.
options aren't that good for the seller because they need to cash out of the deal, and it's not likely they're going to be able to get all the cash that they want. That's
Mhm.
the conundrum that they're in. The
Right.
option that I present them gives them everything they want because I can actually pay them 105,000 for their paper, written as is, and so they would get their 165 actually and be able to walk away from the deal, and then we would hold the paper on the 140K note and kind of collect on that. The next option for them and a little bit better for the borrower would be to write two notes. And that would be write the note similar to what we just did, like 100 to 140K note, and then write a second note that's probably 40K or 30K, and that'll make up the difference of what we're missing for that down payment. And the reason why we would do that is because we want that first lien to be as low as LTV as we can, so that whoever is purchasing it, whether it's us or whether it's another investor, they're very well protected. So if they have to take the land back per se, they're not going to have a difficult time selling it for what they have into it or more, so they can recoup their
Mhm.
capital and make a little bit of profit too.
Right. So the seller, though, is going to get a very high yield on that second, right?
The seller would be getting a really good interest rate on that second. The
Mhm.
problem is they'd probably only be able to get like maybe 100K or maybe like 120K up front today, and they probably have to hold paper that's probably like a 30K note for a while until they decide to sell it if they want. Otherwise, they're probably going to be making a 12% interest rate on that second.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
it is
which
a
is
good
not
deal for
bad.
them. Yeah, it's still a good deal. It's just their immediate need is cash today. And the only way to facilitate that is to really make sure that borrower puts down a sizable down payment. Because I
Right.
heard the buzzwords that they're gonna build on it. It tells me they do have more cash. They may not like the idea of putting down more of a down payment, but if this makes the deal happen for what they want to do, they'll probably bend.
Right. So I had I think I mentioned to you same scenario. He wants to build out, and he's got 120 acres. He's selling 12 10-acre lots. And he will very willingly carry back the second for, in this case, what would be a $40,000 second. So I think we might see a lot of this. And if anybody in the audience knows of anybody who sees anything like this, we'd be more than happy to talk with them. Maybe perhaps give you a broker fee to do it, to set us up on this, because this can be a very nice business.
Yeah, we are, as I said before, we're definitely seeing a lot of this right now. And
Mhm.
opportunities come up with land all the time to sell on terms. Opportunities come up with properties to sell on terms. And it is no joke. At least two or three times a week, I'm coming up with these situations to where we're helping create notes, and not all of them pan out because you still need to have, the borrower still needs to to get negotiated into this game. But when these deals work out, everybody's making money and everybody's happy and everybody's secure and everybody's low risk in what they're doing, and it's all compliant and it's above board.
Right. And in the Texas case that I mentioned, actually, this developer is going to be able to pay off his initial requirement or his equity investment. He's going to have money left to go out and to build some infrastructure on some of the other lots. So the last lots he's going to be able to sell as improved lots. He's going to have all the utilities to them and everything like that, which is going to increase his profits, and he's still going to be able to carry back a second. So it's a real win-win for him.
Nice. Very cool.
Mhm.
Well, that was kind of the situation that I had. So I haven't spoken back to the land investor yet to find out if this deal goes to fruition. Usually it takes a few days for them to go back and forth and figure out. So the final deal may not end up exactly like this, but this is the goal to get like this. And the main idea, what I wanted to highlight is that, look, I can make, as long as the borrower is willing to come down with more down payment, we can actually lower their monthly payment. Isn't that funny how we went from 30-year to 15-year and we actually got the payment lower? You would expect the payment to
Right,
be higher because you're truncating the timetable by 50%.
right.
But because we made the down payment, 3x on top of what they were doing, 10% to 30%, it makes all the difference in the world for the lender. Great protection,
Mhm.
great cash flow. And I'd much rather have a 15-year note than a 30-year note at this price point, too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Simple.
that is our little deal here. I was looking at the board to see if I missed anything. Michael had a question about isn't that graph for each month? I probably I probably corrected myself earlier because I thought that it was, and I realized that the graph was for the past 2 years on that. If Michael, if that's not what we were talking about, if we need more explanation, just chime back in and we can revisit one of the slides from earlier. So
Okay, so before you go,
yeah,
Sunny Sarah is asking us to do something, asking the crowd to do something here.
okay.
She's saying that thank goodness for our meetup. Can you type MU in the chat if you found this event through through the Meetup app?
So that's pretty cool. Thanks, Sunny Sarah, or Sunny Sunshine, I think is what she was, her AKA at the beginning.
Hmm.
So we do advertise this broadcast through meetup.com. And if you had heard of it from there, just type in MU, the letter M and the letter U for meetup, into whatever chat that you're using. And that way that she can kind of see where you guys are coming from. Most people will
Right.
probably see this on the replay. So we don't have too many live audience viewers at the moment. But if you have, feel free to chime in with the MU. Otherwise, you don't have to.
There's an MU right there for Michael.
And just make sure it's the right letter, not the wrong letter with the U after it. We want to be careful because I don't know if the M and the other letter is close to each other. They're not too close to each other, but yeah, just be careful with that.
Mm.
So I'm sure someone will have
Hmm.
some fun with that. Um,
Hmm.
Richard, do you
Yes,
recognize this logo?
I do. I think I've seen it before. What can
Yeah.
you tell me about it?
This is American Note Buyers, and this is our company. And so Richard and I have been investing and partnering with each other for a good couple of years now, probably since 2019. We've been friends ever since 2015, 2016. When we both got in the note business, but we had been partnered with each other. And earlier this year, we decided, why are we making this harder for ourselves by trading money back and forth and having two companies when we can just have one company that we invest in together. And so we created an LLC earlier this year called American Note Buyers, and that is our entity structure that we are purchasing loans in. So if you happen to see that across the millions of loans out there, that's us. We're American Note Buyers.
That's right.
So we got our logo now. We got some collateral going. We're getting a website built, and our main focus is going to be to raise private capital. We're going to have a fund that's a part of what American Note Buyers manages, and so we'll also have assets that we'll be purchasing through the fund. And then we'll also be working with the seller financier, the local realtor, the fix and flipper, the wholesaler, anybody that kind of creates property on terms or land investor. We're going to be helping you guys with that and helping you structure deals, and then being able to buy that deal from you at the same time that we're helping you with it. So that's kind of the main objectives for American Note Buyers.
Right. It's going to be very good in a lot of ways because it means that we can buy higher quality notes, larger, more efficient for us and investors. And I think it's going to be a win-win all the way around. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, the portfolio advantage is going to be a lot better for us. We're going to be able to buy 20 to 30 loans at a time instead of buying 3 to 5 loans at a time, which will
Right.
be a big swing for us because we can have more assets available, and then we can also sell them as well. If you know us and recognize us, and you want more information about our fund that's coming up, it's going to be released very soon. You can reach out to Richard or myself. You can hit us up on Facebook or hit us through our emails as well, and we can be glad to answer your questions about that. But we'll have more information to come on that, and probably in our January meetup, we might start introducing that a little bit more.
Sounds good to me. I'm excited.
So if anybody likes this logo or loves it, we'd love to hear comments. If you don't like it, please keep it to yourself. We just want to hear positive stuff about the logo.
So Tom Manuel gave us an MU, and he also says, will A&B sell notes?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we have some notes for sale right now. We listed some in the Facebook group, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago, and those notes have already been sold off. And we do have a couple more for sale right now. And we have a couple for sale that's from one of my investors that's trying to sell some of his notes. And if you just want to reach out to me, I would be glad to show you what the notes are for sale. They're all performing. They're all first lien notes. They're all strong performing loans. Excuse me. Mostly mortgages, a couple of CFDs, that stands for contract for deed. So if you're interested in that, just email me, and you'll get my email here at the end of the presentation. Or if Richard, if you want to type it in the chat box, Justin@brightpathnotes.com, I'll be happy to connect with you on that.
Okay.
But yes, we will be buying and we will be selling loans. We will be a fully operational, full functioning fund. Next slide is kind of what you're going to see for our collateral. So if you are a seller financier and you're creating loans and you need to kind of have some parameters as to what we're going to buy and how much we're going to pay for it, we have a seller's matrix that we can give you to show you kind of what about the range what we'll buy assets for, assuming they have the criteria and the underwriting requirements that we require. And there's a 3-page document. You only see 1 page here on the screen, but it's going to be a 3-page document of you guys to follow. As long as you follow those requirements and those criteria, we're going to buy the loan and we're going to buy it at this X range, and you'll have that information. And we'll have a website dedicated to this as well, to where you can actually click on a link and you can go to the website and you can enter in all the data about your deal, and it can flow through it. Or if you need to schedule some consultation with Richard or myself, we can definitely help you set up the terms on it and give you a flavor or an idea of like what we would pay for it based on the situation. Every situation's unique and a little bit different, so it's sometimes it's a case by case basis. But the general idea is that we're looking for you guys to create a first mortgage, first lien residential, going through a title company, getting title insurance, getting a loan policy on it, and making sure you're using a service like calltheunderwriter.com. It's an RMLO. They're a mortgage loan originator to make sure that your borrower is going to be able to pay back the debt. That's important, right? And then also to make sure that you're compliant as the originator as well. So we can go through all that stuff with you individually as well.
I'm sorry, Justin. So you said Justin@brightpath.note, but we wanted to send them to the ANBfunds.com, right?
You're right. You're right, Richard. Why don't you set it up to the email that's on here
right.
is closing@anbfunds.com. That's closing@anbfunds.com. That'll be a good email to send stuff to. If that doesn't work, you can send it to Justin@anbfunds.com. That's fine too. Because I just realized, Richard, I didn't set up the closing A and B funds email today like I was supposed to for it to be open for a shared box. So if anybody sends an email to that
But
right now, it might not work.
yeah, but the Justin and the Richard are already set up, right?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
So yeah. So it's anbfunds.com.
Yep. I just sent it to everybody.
And
And Richard,
anbfunds.com.
I got it, Richard.
And or
I got it in
Richard.
there.
Okay.
Yep. All
All
right,
right,
there's
good.
Richard's, there's Justin's, and there you go. All right. So if you're interested in that, hit us up because we buy first liens. Send us your deals, land contracts, contract deeds,
That's
note and
right.
mortgages, note and deed of trust, lease options. We'll still buy paper. It's just we won't buy it at the best price if it's not underwritten, and done like we want to. Tom, I see your message here. Our website isn't up and running yet. It will be hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks so that you can go to it and enter in information. We probably won't have assets listed on the website, Tom, just so that you know in case you were getting to that. Well, you'll have to ask us on an email, basis as far as, hey, if you got any assets for sale, until we get a better platform together, or we may list them on a different platform. We're not really sure how that's going to work. But for right now, whatever we have for sale will be probably 3 or 4 assets at a time. We'll be happy to give you a small tape and let you look at it and see if you want to buy it.
Right.
So that leads us to the last slide before we get into more Q&A. And January 11th, 2023, from 6 to 8 p.m. Don't forget to follow us on these handles here: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I should have changed our email addresses. Sorry about that. I know we just listed them there.
This is the last time you will see these email addresses. We will.
This is the last time. Yeah,
the new ones next year.
Yeah, the emails will still work for a while, obviously, but we need to start transitioning everything over to A and B. So anybody that's a client of BrightPath Notes or a client of American Note Capital, which is Richard's company, we're just combining everything into one company now. So we'll have a larger contact list, and you guys will still be able to reach us. Still got the same service, same white glove treatment as our friend Drew would say that we do. And so it's all good. So stay tuned with us for in January when we have more appropriate slides that have the right and proper information in them.
I'm excited.
All right, Richard, it's been a while since I've done this. I got to get back in the loop here. So, okay. So I will transition out of the slides, and Richard, we're going to start some little Q&A.
Party time.
Welcome back, Richard. You did a good job today for not knowing what I was going to do and being able to bounce right in there.
Well, thanks. And also being set up literally 5 minutes before we went live. I mean,
yeah,
we hustled our way up here, and obviously have a very temporary setup, but next month we're going to be doing this from Vietnam. So it'll be even more challenging.
Did you have to learn any Vietnamese to be able to talk there, or is everything pretty much English based there anyways?
Nothing is English based. It's rather difficult. There's a lot of sign language.
Oh,
And yeah, some people know
oh,
English.
you're like cerveza, beer.
Yeah. Reading the menu in a restaurant is quite challenging. As long as
So
you
what
like pho, you're doing great.
what do you do? Is it a language you can understand, or do you have to do Google Translate or something? Like what are you going to do?
Yeah, you do Google Translate, and you can get a long ways through just pointing at things, and pointing to yourself, and it's amazing what you can communicate that way. And so we get around, we do just fine. It's like we actually enjoy it.
Good. That's cool. I'm excited for you to get out there, and you're leaving the day after Christmas?
The day of.
The day of Christmas. And so you're flying international. Then do you have you don't have a direct flight to Vietnam. You have probably a layover somewhere.
Right. Yeah, you have to lay over you go over either in Taipei or Seoul, and the flight times run anywhere from 21 to 34 hours. And interestingly enough, we leave on the 25th and we get there on the 27th.
Oh, wow. So even with the layover, you're talking that the flight times are that long?
Yeah, that includes the layover, and
Yeah.
the part of the reason is they're 15 hours ahead of what we are, and on the
Yeah.
West Coast, they're 12 hours ahead of what you are on the East Coast. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, it'll be fun. So we'll do this show next time. Let's see if we do it started at 5 o'clock your time. In
Be
the
6 o'clock our time.
6 o'clock your time, it'll be six
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning my time.
Oh, that's perfect.
Hmm.
You're
Works out
you're an
great.
early you'll be an early riser in Vietnam.
You know what? Give me a cup of coffee and I'll be just fine.
That's awesome. Well, well,
Hmm.
well, very cool.
Hmm.
All right, my friend. Well, I don't know if we have any more questions on the board, but if you guys have any questions or comments you want to bring up about anything we talked about today or any question in general, you're more welcome to do it right now. Just type it in your comment box there and we'll pull it up on screen and we can talk about it. Um,
So one thing I will mention,
yep.
which I know you know because we've talked about it a little bit, is that the market's starting to get exciting again. We're
Mhm.
not seeing a flood of non-performers. We're seeing some non-performers from pre-pandemic that they
Mhm.
can now foreclose on that are starting to roll in. But what I'm really most excited about is the reperformers, as we've talked about, um, and your stats just showed. You've got a lot of people out there who were basically just like us, who were doing just fine, but if they're realtors or whatever, they couldn't work. Um, and so they didn't default or faltered on their mortgages, and they're now reperforming. And it's not like it was in the recession. In the recession, you had high rates and low equity. Now
Yeah.
you've got still relatively low rates and high equity. And so those reperforming notes are going to be, I think, well priced and good notes to buy.
Yeah. We'll have some good seasoning with them. We'll see some good track record since they were reperforming, and
Hmm.
they'll be very strong notes. So I can't wait to get into a pool of those as well. There'll be some good deals going on there.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm not saying this just because it's a venture we're doing, but I'm surprised. Well, I might be
Yeah.
a little bit biased, but I'm
Maybe
surprised
just
at
a little
how
bit.
much, yeah, how many requests I'm getting, you're getting from developers, from people, from wholesalers who want us to buy their mortgage after the first or second payments. I mean,
Yeah.
um, our target for this fund is $10 million before we roll into the next one, and I think that's certainly a doable target. And as we do more and more of that, we can roll into the larger portfolios, and that's, as you know, where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, and there'll be quite a bit of commercial available too, and
Hmm.
we'll be able to dabble a little bit in commercial stuff as well. So that'll be
Right,
interesting.
right.
That's kind of where your background is. You're very familiar with the commercial space.
It is. I've done a lot of stuff. When I sold my mortgage company, we had an $8 billion portfolio of nothing but commercial. So we've done a lot of underwriting on it, and I would love to start doing more commercial deals.
Yeah, the opportunity is knocking, my friend. It's coming
I
to our
think
door
so.
very soon. So
It's very much like if you're surfing on the West Coast, where I am, like going to you, and it just comes slowly, it builds, and then it gets ready to break, and you got to be in the right time in the right place. And then I think we are.
is that hang loose,
Hang loose, baby, hang loose.
hang loose, right on. All right, Richard. Well, you
Right.
hang loose out there in Lake Tahoe, my friend, and safe
Okay.
travels getting back to Petaluma. And
Uh-huh.
oh, I got one more. Our friend here
Yeah.
put up a comment. That's like when you travel to my homeland in the Philippines. I was so confused at first.
Yes. 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 You're
Right
right.
on. Oh, they
Very
even
much
put the
so,
little
Sarah.
flag up there. Cool. Very
Very cool.
nice. Thank you,
Okay.
Sunny Sunshine.
Hmm.
All right, Richard. You have a good evening, my friend,
Okay. You
and
too.
enjoy the slopes of not skiing. Enjoy watching
Yes.
everyone else skiing.
Yes.
And we will catch you guys back in January. And don't forget to download our podcast. We'll have one more episode released for this year, and we'll be recording that very soon. So everybody have a very merry and happy holiday and a very happy and safe new year. And we will catch you guys in 2023.
Right. See you later. Bye.